everyone, my name is Marisara Saturi and I will be your host for today. Don't you get frustrated if every time you look into the river, there's a trash or garbage floating in the river? So here with us today is Kun James Scott, the Executive Director of TerraCycle Foundation, who will come and talk to us about how to stop the trash from entering the ocean. สวัสดีค่ะคุณเจมส์ So basically, what does TerraCycle do? Can you explain a little bit about the foundation?
My name is James Scott. I'm the Executive Director. The foundation is focused on solving complex waste issues in urban environments that lead to ocean waste. So what we're doing is trying to solve problems to prevent ocean waste from starting in the first place, finding better methods for collecting it, and ensuring that it's recycled or managed properly to lower the impact on the environment.
So from what I heard, TerraCycle is an international foundation which is operating not just in Thailand but in so many countries. So what are the reasons of TerraCycle being in Thailand? So basically, why you pick Thailand?
So TerraCycle Inc. is in 22 different countries. The foundation started in Thailand. The reason we chose Thailand is that Thailand's always in sort of the top 5, top 6 waste polluters for ocean waste in the world. And we felt it was an area that wasn't getting enough attention. And it has this beautiful canal network with over 1,600 canals in Bangkok alone, contributing to the Chao Phraya River and ultimately the ocean. And we felt this was an area that really needed to be focused on to sort of stop that waste. So 80 to 90% of ocean waste originates on land, and obviously those canals are a major contributor to the Chao Phraya River and ultimately the ocean.
So I think comparing in terms of the operation between Thailand and operating in other countries, do you think working in Thailand is that a challenge to operate the TerraCycle in Thailand, and if that's a challenge, what would that challenge be?
I certainly think every country has its challenges with operating. You know, we were certainly warned about many of the challenges here. I lived and worked in Thailand for 10 years, so I've certainly encountered some of those. But I actually found it to be the opposite. I think that this is quite an important issue to a lot of people here. So a lot of things where people said this will be really difficult, it'll be really difficult to get government support, it'll be difficult to get community support. Our experience has been the opposite. So the government has been very supportive in helping us launch and do our cleanups. The local communities, the local district leaders, the monks at the local temples, Wat Lap Prao, you know, and also the community leaders as well. They've all been really they've all been very supportive, and I think that's been a big part of why we succeeded.
I think it's really interesting when you talk about the operation. So I would like to ask this before we go into the process of the TerraCycle itself. You said one of the reasons that the foundation is really successful in Thailand is not just about the technologies or innovation, but it's about the communities and the people. Can you explain a little bit about how you work with community leaders or people who would be willing to come and help you?
We wanted to, even when we were selecting the location, so our idea was we wanted to go as far upstream as possible to where the waste is entering the waterways. And then also connect with those people in those areas to look at their behaviors, how they handle waste, what they do in their daily lives. And that was sort of how we selected the areas, we selected the canals. And that led us to meet a lot of people within the community and talk to them about the problems they had and the challenges. And one of those people in particular, Kun Samyang, who is now my boat captain, he's been living on the canal for 3 generations. He's been doing cleanups on his own for many, many, many years and was always struggling to create a lot of impact. So people like Sam came on board and really helped us. In fact, Sam sort of kept showing up for free and kept helping us, and I was like, this is a person I really want on my team. So now Sam leads our boat, you know, he's a retired community leader, and that's been a big part of that success, sort of is working with them. So not coming in and telling people what to do, it's more coming in, showing them these different technologies and solutions that we have, and then talking to them about what it is they need and how we can work together to create impact, rather than just trying to come in and make them change to a different way that you think is better. We know that doesn't work. And we've seen other organizations around the world trying to do that. And I think one of the reasons we've collected more and succeeded and been able to move much faster further in a short time, even during COVID, is because of the collaboration, so having those people involved.
Wow, I think it's really wonderful to hear that a lot of people are really concerned about the environment and show up to do that for free. So apart from the working with the community, could you explain a little bit about the process of the TerraCycle and how you remove the trash from the river?
What we did in the beginning is we looked at all the different technologies out there and what we thought would be most impactful in the canal and allow us a lot of flexibility to go to different areas and adjust to different environments. So we ended up building the river plastic traps that we have, and we built them to be sort of very durable, very modular, easy and safe to work on. They would work in different environments, and they would also last a long time. We were looking at other technologies, and after a few months or a few years, they would be broken or not collecting very well. So that's what we have there. So they're basically, it's like a modular trap with these long arms that traps water down to about 1 meter below the surface, collects all the waste and condenses it so that it's easier for us to collect. It also allows us to place it where there's boat traffic. Like, for example, if you use a boom, it's very difficult because you interrupt the normal use of the canals. And canals in Thailand are not only people fish in them, which I'm always surprised about, but there's also a transportation, boat traffic and stuff. So yeah, so we have these devices, we collect from them every day, and it's also part of how we're learning to manage the waste better. So it's not just removing it, it's understanding what's there in the first place so that we can work on better solutions to prevent it from ending up in there. So we track everything every single day. We weigh all the waste from every single device. We separate into many different categories and process all of that waste differently. So, for example, tires need different processing than glass bottles versus clothing, shoes. And that's another thing is that people think of ocean waste as bottles and plastic bags, but that's actually not true. Most of what we collect, it's this wide range of household items. So we collect household garbage, diapers, shoes, clothing, tires, TV sets. That was a big surprise to me. I didn't know we would be collecting TV sets, fridges. Anything you can think of that people use is getting dumped in there. So yes, of course, we get bottles and boxes, but a lot of items. And so all of this we track and we record to understand what those opportunities are to change those waste behaviors, to speak to those brands or to talk to communities and say, this is the way you're using this particular product. How could we change that? Right? How could we create a recycling program or encourage a different behavior where this material is then, being used as a resource instead of a waste? So that's something for TerraCycle. We don't believe in garbage. We think of everything is just misplaced resources. So it's actually a resource that's being put in the wrong spot, and people think that it's waste and garbage. We're also what we would call a untargeted collection. So we collect everything that's in the canal that comes through, not just sort of the high value items, not just the easy to collect or easy to sell items. And we're committed to processing 100% of what we collect. So that makes our job quite challenging because I need to figure out, what do you do with a mattress, right? What do you do with a helmet? What do you do with all these things? A PET bottle is very easy, but it's all these other items that we have challenge dealing with every day. So, and that's part of what's exciting because that allows us to work with different partners to find solutions for those, and whether they be large commercial solutions or finding small scale manufacturing or craft work that can deal with those waste streams. So that's a big part that I get really excited about is how do we manage those? How do we find a solution, create more jobs in the community, and solve the waste problem at the same time?
That comes to a really interesting question when you talk about you collect all the waste and you don't choose which to collect, which not to collect. And I'm sure when you collect those, you have to take them back into the segregation facility, right? So can you give us examples of the product that you actually turn them into something more valuable?
of all the material we collect, it's segregated, as I said, into many different channels. So all the different recycling channels that people are familiar with the symbol, the triangle symbol with a 1, 2, and up to 7. But there's also glass, metal, textiles, rubber, electronics, all these different items. So some of the items, some of the higher value items we can turn into what we call storied plastics. So making a new product that people want or will purchase out of that. So it could be a shampoo bottle, it could be a toy, it could be something that you can use in your daily life that you would then buy knowing that it was made from ocean waste. So this is one item. So, and also things that we can do with the community is stuff like community playgrounds, community gardens, park benches, and different street furniture. So, we're hoping in the future is as we expand in the canals that some of the things that are on the canal revitalization are actually from the project. So communities help us collect, and then we're able to then put in playgrounds or benches along the canal that are actually a result of the project collecting that waste. And certainly there's other things, most famous recently was the podiums at the Olympics. So taking the waste that's collected and turning that into 3D printing for the podiums that all the champions stand on. Then we obviously use the regular recycling channels, so working with local partners to recycle the glass and metal. And items that we cannot recycle through those channels because they're either degraded, they're contaminated, so those will be used in waste energy. So we work with the government to use a facility to process the wastes through that way. Because unfortunately not everything can be recycled depending on the quality, so that's one way to recycle it without it going back to landfills. That was where our relationship with the government was very helpful. We're the only private institution with access to that facility, and it's managed so that the air and the water pollution from it is all brought back to zero and drinkable water. So that's how we sort of solve all of that, but it's very complex, and we get new waste streams all the time, and so you're trying to figure out what do you do with it, right?
So it's all very interesting when you talk about the operation. So what is the future plan for TerraCycle, and if people want to learn more about you, where can they go and read more about that?
So obviously our plan, now that we have a successful program, is to expand to other canals within Bangkok, working with other communities and other districts, as well as expanding to other countries. So we're looking at India, Vietnam, Cambodia, places like this, because we think that there's also a lot of opportunity in those areas to create sustainable, long-term recycling prevention programs. So if people want to kind of learn more or volunteer and come out to work with us, they can go to our website, follow us on social media, and you can get updates on what our program is doing and how you can reduce your imprint or footprint at home, at work, or like I said, out in the community. So that's what we encourage. It's not just, yes, we focus on oceans and waterways, but it starts at the home, it starts at your work. If people took care of their waste there, I wouldn't see it in the canal.
Wow, really interesting. I think making Thailand clean, it's on top of a lot of people's mind.
I think so as well. I think, as I've said before, I think the canals should be one of the biggest tourist attractions in Thailand.
So Kun James, thank you so much for coming here today and tell us about how we can turn trash into something more valuable. And for you, I think it's been really refreshing and making our Klong cleaner, it will be a top priority for a lot of people's mind. If you want to learn more about their operations, go to TerraCycle Foundation website and Facebook and follow them.